Hey, this is Brian again, and I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We can't do this work without people like you, so if you can, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about Bring Back the Porch.
It's funny because in our office, we're so used to counseling that we forget that sometimes. But I know most of us see counselors, and there's really nothing to be ashamed of. I think, when you go to the physician's office, you're not embarrassed to be seen there, and it's part of your health care to ensure that your mental health is also taken care of.
This episode of Bring Back the Porch brought to you by Bernie Leahy, River Street Realty. Let's get you home. For 60 years, the Medicine Hat Family Service has been serving people in Medicine Hat quietly. We want to make a little bit of noise about that. Joining me this morning is the Executive Director, Celina Symmonds. Welcome to the Porch.
Oh, thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate being here.
I was surprised when I saw that 1966 was the year that the Family Services was founded, and I'm not sure that I have ever heard of them until recently.
Yeah, the thing about Medicine Hat Family Service is they've just really done their work quietly and with integrity and been able to manage through 60 years of being a not-for-profit, which is quite an accomplishment, really. Mm-hmm. The history of family service is actually that it was started in the city of Medicine Hat. So the city actually housed Medicine Hat Family Service, and eventually we decided that we'd be better off as a not-for-profit, and so we moved on to be a not-for-profit in the community, and we're just so grateful.
The information sheet that you provided for me says accessible, compassionate, community-based. Pretty much says it all.
100%. I think our main service is obviously counseling, and we do low-cost counseling. So lots of people think that means less than counseling. What I would say to that is that our counselors are the same level of trained as any counselor. It's just that we have subsidized opportunities for people.
And that's the thing. That might be the biggest roadblock that people might put up. I can't afford to go to counseling.
Well, if it costs $150 an hour to go to counseling, probably most people that don't have any kind of benefits wouldn't be able to afford that kind of cost. And so our organization tries to remove that barrier. We also try to remove the barrier of wait times as well, just to get people in as quickly as possible so that they can talk about what's ailing them.
Mental health is a big thing that we're talking about a lot these days, just the pressures of everyday life. Have you seen more people coming looking for help?
I think we're seeing more people. We're also seeing younger people. I think we're seeing kids as young as 6 years old coming in for counseling, and I'm not sure that's happened in the past. I think social media plays a big part in it, and I'm just grateful that we still have an organization available to help people when they need to talk.
How do people find you?
Easy. You can just call us. You can go on our website. You can actually make an appointment right on our website now. So you don't even have to talk to anybody to get in to see us. The other thing is we're doing all kinds of groups and peer support models as well. And so you can get involved that way as well.
One of the other obstacles that maybe I'm just making an assumption that would be in the way of someone seeking help is that everybody's going to know.
Yes. It's funny because in our office, we're so used to counseling that we forget that sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I know most of us see counselors, and there's really nothing to be ashamed of. I think, when you go to the physician's office, you're not embarrassed to be seen there, and it's part of your health care to ensure that your mental health is also taken care of. And it doesn't always mean mental illness. Sometimes it's just that you need a little tweak, or you have something that you're facing that you just need a tool to manage that. And so our counselors can help you walk through that. They walk alongside people to take care. One of our counselors always says, you're in charge. You come with what you want to talk about, and that's what we're going to talk about. So it's the one place in your life where you can be completely in charge is in your own counseling.
What type of counseling services do you offer?
So we provide everything from peer support. So that would be somebody that's been through the same thing as you've been through, where they can sit and talk with you about what you're going through. So, for example, we have Caregiver Connections, which allows people who are caregiving for a spouse or a partner or a child who has mental health issues. You can meet up with another person who's caregiving so they understand what you're going through. So we have that opportunity. We also have group facilitation opportunities where we have courses and classes that you can be a part of. And so kind of teaching new tools, learning about boundaries and all kinds of things like that. And then we have more specialized counseling, which is more of our one-to-one counseling. And even more specialized now, we have EMDR and ART, which are eye movement therapies specific to trauma.
That is something that I just heard about recently, and I went, boy, that I'm not sure about that. Explain how it works, though.
Sure. We tend to laugh a little bit and call it a bit voodoo because they're not really sure why it works, but it does. We suspect that potentially it's the same process that your brain goes through when you're sleeping. So when you're sleeping, your eyes move back and forth, and that's your brain processing the day's events. What happens is if you have an event that you can't process, your brain can't process it, it just continues to collect information, and so everything becomes a trigger, as they call them. So if you run into a bear in the forest, and you can look around and go, okay, I'm by this cave, and I know if I just don't come by this cave, I won't see this bear anymore. Your brain can process that, so it doesn't become a trauma. However, if the bear's in your living room and you don't know how it got in there, now everything is scary, and your brain doesn't know how to protect you because it doesn't know how the bear got in, and it doesn't know why the bear was there in the first place. And so what EMDR can help you to do is actually process that event in your brain and change it so that your brain thinks of it differently.
What does EMDR stand for?
Oh, no.
Something about eye movement?
This is terrible. Eye movement, reprocessing, and desensitization and reprocessing.
Yeah. Yes. Are you able to share how the actual therapy is administered?
Yeah, absolutely. So you would meet with a therapist, and you guys would decide together that that's what you're wanting to access, that that's the kind of service that you're looking for. And the therapist would ensure that you're ready for that type of therapy. And then you go into our office, we give you some tools on how to protect your brain and protect your thought process. And then you go through, and it actually is literally the counselor does eye movements with you as you're processing the event. So you go through the event in your brain, and the therapist processes it with you.
Okay. Some of your group programming sounds interesting, too. Kids in the Middle.
I love that program. So Kids in the Middle is a program for kids that are going through separation or divorce in their family. And so what we do is we bring the kids in. We usually partner with Bridges Family Programs, and they teach the parents while we're teaching the kids. And we give them just some tools to think about separation and divorce and what that feels like in your family. We know divorce is one of the biggest ones on the ACE scale that kids go through, which ACE is for adverse childhood experiences. But we know if kids can process those things, that they're going to be okay. And so that's what Kids in the Middle does.
And couples and family counseling, too. That probably is a very busy one.
It really is. I always joke that, like, having a third party in your marriage isn't always a bad thing if it's a counselor because they can come in. Because they can come in and support you and, you know, really help you kind of go through whatever you're facing as a family. You know, we often talk in our office about, you know, couples today, how do we connect? And so we're even doing things like paint nights for couples and having date night out so that couples can come in and learn a little bit about mental health, but then also spend some good time together where you're not on your phone and you're not watching TV and you're not kind of disassociated from each other.
Play therapy for children and youth. That one sounds interesting.
Yeah. So all of our therapists are trained in play therapy. And so we have a playroom in our office now. We just did a huge renovation. And so we have a really nice playroom and a sand table and all kinds of things so kids can go in and work out their feelings through play, which is really the best way for kids. So we take children anywhere from 6 all the way up. So.
Okay, so this is not like a role-playing model therapy then?
No, it's more puppets and drawing and art and things like that, just different ways for kids to express themselves and actually relieve stress. And so we know right now kids are very stressed. They have a lot of anxiety. They have a lot of depression. What might be missing is play. What might be missing is, you know, running down the street to the playground and that kind of thing. So we're trying to reintroduce that into community.
We recently were at a seminar where Carl Honore talked about slow living. And one of the things that he said children need to do is they need to learn how to put the devices away, slow down, play outside, you know, take the time to enjoy life. And that sounds like what that therapy helps them do.
100%. I think I was actually at a conference, and there's a lady named Nina DeLacy, and she's actually an AI psychologist. Like she's done psychology through AI, and one of the things that they found is that the one thing that crosses the barrier between anxiety and depression. So anxiety and depression exist in kids. The one thing that causes both is TikTok, believe it or not. And so we see all these 11, 12-year-olds on their phones playing TikTok and watching these screels, and then we wonder why they might have a little bit of anxiety or depression, and that can definitely play into it.
Hard for them to understand the difference between reality and what they see in social media because they maybe have never experienced reality.
Well, even the cognitive ability to understand critical thinking, right? Lots of kids don't have that ability at that age. Well, they don't have the ability at that age. Even myself, sometimes I get tricked. You know, I see the cougar coming after the baby on TikTok and I think, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But the reality is that kids don't know the difference between what's real and what's not real. Plus, I mean, yesterday we all watched an airplane crash and 2 people die on social media, and we all kind of scrolled by as though it was nothing.
We're almost becoming desensitized.
100% we are. Yeah.
And that's probably a defense mechanism.
Yeah. Well, Jody Carrington always says we're wired for connection. Our world is wired for connection, or people want to be connected to other people. And it's never been easier to not be connected, to isolate yourself.
Another one of the points that you have put down to talk about this morning, recovery, college.
Yes,
sounds interesting.
It's really exciting. So we have a program now where we've taken over from CMHA, and so they are funding it, but they're funding it for us to do it at Medicine Hat locally. And Recovery College allows you to take some classes about mental health. So we have everything from boundaries. We're doing one on estrangement, parent estrangement, and child estrangement right now. We take any kind of opportunity to take a mental health issue, put it into a class, and then invite people to come. And it's all free. So easy to access. You can just go online, search up Recovery College. You'll get Recovery College Medicine Hat, and you'll get an opportunity to be a part of that.
Caregivers also are people who are carrying extra burdens.
100%. So I think caregiving for somebody with a mental health issue can cause mental health issues for the caregiver as well. And so we've got peer support for that, which is great because you can talk to somebody who's going through it. I don't know how many times, you have trouble with something and you phone another parent who understands and they go, oh, that makes lots of sense. So that's where the peer support helps.
Suicide prevention and community outreach. We have unfortunately seen an uptick in suicides over the last couple of years, probably after the pandemic, perhaps. We did see an increase there.
Yes.
How does that work?
So this past year, we've hired Audrey Skoog, and she's amazing. And she does our suicide prevention. So it's a couple of things. One is we have actually a viral TikTok account on suicide prevention. It's called Mental Health Matters. And so she does content on there about mental health. And so the idea would be, you're up late at night scrolling, and this might just interrupt your thought for just a little bit to ask you to stay another day. So our campaign is Stay Another Day. We ask people to just take a minute and stop and give us a call rather than moving forward on with suicide. We're in schools talking about suicide prevention. It's funny to me that we're so scared to talk to kids about this stuff, but the kids really want to talk about it. And when we're in schools, the kids are the ones that are asking these great questions, and it's just been amazing to watch, actually.
Now, if you live outside the city of Medicine Hat, can you still access your services?
100%. I'm so excited. We just hired a rural coordinator, so she's actually going to be out in all the different rural areas, Bow Island, Foremost, Medicine Hat, Ralston, Dunmore, Irvin. We're going to be in all of those places once a week so that people can access one-to-one counseling in their own community. I can't stress enough that we need to realize that the number one thing around suicide prevention and around mental health is that men in particular are not accessing these services the way that they need to be. Men are dying by suicide more often. Men over 40 is the highest demographic of suicide in our community. And so in order to fix that, we need to get to where men are. And oftentimes they might be out on the field, or they might be, in their tractor. Maybe they're listening to the podcast now and they're thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm really struggling and I'm scared to do it. I just encourage you to pick up the phone and call. When people come to counseling, they really realize how effective it can be and how much it really does help.
I can put myself in that spot and think I'll put up a barricade. They're going to judge me.
100%. And I think men, especially over 40, they were taught when they were children, right? Don't talk about these things.
Keep your feelings to yourself.
Yeah, don't cry.
No.
Gosh, don't cry. Like, what the heck, right? And so I think that trying to get to men where they are is what we need to do. And so we're trying really hard to do that, to get out to those places, especially in agriculture. Mental health is a huge thing. I mean, we know right now farmers with the tariffs and all these other things, like they're struggling, and they're struggling financially, they're struggling emotionally, and they hadn't been taught how to deal with those feelings, right? In fact, they've just been taught to push them down. And so our hope is that they can talk about it, but also understand we're not going to make you talk about anything you don't want to talk about. You're in control. You get to decide.
I always marvel at farmers. I always call them the ultimate optimists, because every year they put the seed in the ground. They invest all their money in that crop and have faith that it will pay off.
I know.
And it's amazing.
It is amazing. And what would we do without them, right?
We wouldn't eat.
My gosh, we wouldn't be able to eat, right? No. So, yeah, I'm really grateful for our rural program. I think it will make a big difference in our rural areas and give people just an opportunity to seek help in their own community. The other thing is, too, if somebody's thinking, oh, I don't know if I want to go in my community to counseling, you can always come into Medicine Hat, too, and we're happy to see you there. But we wanted to be where people are.
We talked about a lot of services here this morning, but where does the money come from to keep this going?
Well, right now, we are very lucky to be funded through the government of Alberta funds a lot of our programming. That being said, we know right now that the government of Alberta is also struggling. And so we are probably moving more into the fundraising end of things in the next few years, just to ensure that our services stay local and stay available. So we do accept donations. In the past, we've never really been a big fundraising organization. We try to kind of keep to our grants, but at this point, we know we're going to need the help of our community in the next few years.
Okay. How many counselors and staff do you have in the family services?
We have 5 registered psychologists now, and then we have 5 other outreach staff who are part of the Recovery College and the suicide prevention arm of our organization. So kind of an outreach department and then an in-reach department with our counselors.
Where are you physically located?
We're downtown, 320 5th Ave Southeast. So I always say if you're in CIBC parking lot, you're looking at our door. So that's where we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, people can find you on the web as well?
Yeah, www.mhfamilyservice.com.
And your phone number?
403-504-8026.
And you are here to help.
We are here to help. Just give us a call. If you have an idea about a group, if you're going through something and you're not quite sure if it fits, just give us a call. I mean, Mindy will answer the phone and you'll get to know her really well, and she's easy to get along with, and we make it pretty easy to make an appointment.
Is there anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to bring up?
Well, I just want to let people know again about the $8, that it's $8 an hour. I want to make sure that people understand that we're not going to be looking into your bank account. We're not checking your finances. We don't expect you to prove to us how much you make a year. If you come in and say, I need counseling and I can't afford it, it will be $8 an hour. And if you can't afford the $8 an hour, come talk to me. I'll be happy to also get rid of that fee. We just want people to understand we want to remove as many barriers as possible, because it is so important to talk through these things. It's so important to talk to somebody about how you're feeling before you go down a spiral. I think in my past life, I always talked about, we need to catch people before they're falling in the river, right? Because unfortunately, we spend a lot of time fishing people out, helping them with services after they've already fallen down. What I love about Medicine Hat Family Service is it's actually the way that we can catch people before they fall in the river. So if you've been through something, if you're going through grief and you're not sure if it's normal, or if you've lost something, if you're going through loss, give us a call, because there are some strategies and great things that we can do to support you through that, so you don't have to be alone.
And if someone listening or watching would like to donate, how do they do that?
They can go on our website, and there's a button right on there to donate, or give us a call. We're happy to come pick up a check or support you and give you a tour of our organization and let you know what we do.
So help is always there for those who ask.
100%.
Medicine Hat Family Services Executive Director Celina Symmonds, thanks for the visit.
Thanks so much, Brian.
Hey, this is Brian again, and I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We can't do this work without people like you, so if you can, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about Bring Back the Porch.